is up, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Hobby Hotline Overtime, the Tuesday evening version of Hobby Hotline. My name, of course, is the DH, and joining me today, we've got Cousin Tony. What's going on, my man?
Nothing much. Happy to be here. First timer. So let's get it cracking.
Oh, really? This is the first time you've been on?
Absolutely.
Awesome. Popping a cherry. I love it. So that means you guys got to call in tonight. Give them the full experience. We can't just have us talking. I need the full experience tonight from you guys. But also joining us, what up, DR, is the one and only Erica from Love What You Collect. Erica, how you doing?
I'm good. I'm happy to be here. This is also my first night on.
What?
So
this is awesome. I was about to say I'd never done a show with either of you, but now I know why. It's your first show.
It's gonna be special.
Yes. So everyone in the chat, make sure to show Cousin Tony and Erica some love, as they are two of the new members of Hobby Hotline, as we've shown that we've added quite a few new members lately, and you're going to see quite a few different really awesome hosts of some really great hobby content. I love everything that you guys do. What's up, Val? A Collector's Dream. How's everyone doing? Hope everyone's doing well. But all right, well, I'll throw you guys right in the fire. Let's dive right into it.
Sure.
There's something interesting going on in the hobby right now, and I'm curious to see what everyone out there thinks. And of course, I'm going to leave the link here in just a moment in the chat. So please call in, join the show. We would love to have you. But Tom Brady. We've got now my Panthers yesterday. Sorry, Pats fans, but my Panthers had to show them what was going on. We didn't need CMC for that game or anything. But Tom Brady is not exactly Tom Brady of old. His teams are not, undefeated. He's not looked at near a team, and that team's not feared at all in the NFC South whatsoever anymore. And I don't even think he's feared as much as a quarterback. I mean, Carolina's got a great young, fast defense, but in no way should that defense be able to outsmart Tom Brady. And, I mean, Mike Evans dropped a wide open pass. The team looked like, that's going to happen. That was the beginning of the game. You still had 3.5 quarters to do something. And take away the Panther game, even in their wins, he hasn't looked all that impressive. And it's showing in the hobby as his contenders rookie auto. I forget the grade, but it just sold for the lowest it sold in ages. It was quite a big drop. So with the way Brady's playing now, he was retired and that was it. And now he came back and he's struggling. And, there's a lot of good teams in the NFC that have a lot of good records. If he loses some division games, and if they don't win that division, which is not a guarantee anymore, if they don't win that division, he could end up almost missing the playoffs. And, what do you guys think that does to his hobby legacy?
Erica, ladies first.
Thank you. I think overall, his hobby legacy will stay the same, but I think more for the younger generation and the younger collectors, that's where it's going to affect it the most, I believe. Because I think for us, we know how great he is no matter what. And it's just kind of his last season wasn't so good, but remember all the great times live watching it. So that's kind of my view on it, but it kind of sucks. It definitely sucks seeing him play like this year, and wasn't expecting it at all.
Yeah, it's maybe it's a couple of factors for me. One, obviously, we're seeing a dip in the hobby, so a lot of stuff is it's all coming down. So that's one thing. Number two, obviously the duty is not playing well, and I'm going to have to probably eat a little crow. That was actually my Super Bowl pick, and we'll see. There's still some time.
Hey, it's only week 7, man.
Yeah. So we'll see. But it doesn't, for me, it's not going to ruin his, for me personally, it's not going to ruin his hobby legacy because he is who he is. We're always going to remember him as the GOAT. Nobody, nobody remembers, nobody talks down about Muhammad Ali at the end of his career or whatever. You remember him as the greatest, and Brady to me is right there. It's just going to be, this is what he was, and nobody's going to remember at the end. If anything, he's probably ruining his marriage. Well, obviously,
right.
So that's the biggest hit that he's taken.
No, I agree with you guys. I think, in the hobby, I think right now is probably going to be a really good time to buy some other stuff right here while people are overreacting to a lot of it. But I think in the long run, when he's retired, I don't think people are going to look back at the season unless it's just one of the worst seasons in the history of all of football, which I just don't see happening. I think he's more than established. But we do have a caller here. Someone who, just now seeing who it is, very, very excited to have this man join us. You guys know him from the Old School Fat Pack show and quite a few other awesome, awesome shows. Mr. Eric Norton, what's up, dude?
What's up, guys? What's going on? Can I come hang out for a little while? I'm kind of bored and I don't have anything to do right now.
I would absolutely love it if you came and hung out. That's what this show is for.
So, hello, everyone. Thanks for having me.
Hello.
Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers look really old.
Yes. Aaron Rodgers looks stoned too. Like I'm sorry, but Aaron Rodgers looks like he's just is not even in the same stadium as the rest of his team.
Yeah,
he's still on the ayahuasca.
Yeah.
I'm surprised he hasn't just gone totally crazy on his teammates and all that stuff yet. But he's been through the wars and now it's almost like hitting a reset button and it's just I don't know if he's gonna have the patience to do that. I see he's getting a little snippy with the press and stuff like that. So it's interesting to see what's gonna happen there because I think he might be a bit of a ticking time bomb there.
Oh,
that's a fair point. That's a real fair point. Speaking of old quarterbacks, and I'm not trying to control your show, Drew.
No.
Matt Ryan also.
Yeah,
he's done, right? Like he's done. He's not ever going to play in Indy again, I don't think.
No, wasn't he just benched for Ellinger or whatnot?
Yeah, exactly. And,
yes.
You mentioned Brady's cards taking a dip, and Cousin Tony, you said that the market on a whole is down. Ryan really has never his card market really never recovered after that Super Bowl loss.
Yeah,
but now it's almost non-existent, right? Because he's I think he's going to be remembered as a good quarterback, and I think the hobby is going to remember him as the same, a good quarterback, and it's not ever going to be what was it 2007 2008 again when he was at the top of the hobby.
Yeah,
I don't think you ever see him near the top of the hobby again, especially with the youth that's coming in right now, and at the same time, the amount of young kids coming in the hobby right now that didn't watch Matt Ryan in 2007, 2008 because they weren't watching football. They were in their mom's bellies, or they, or they were just starting. Matt Ryan's going to be one of those guys. I think that guys like us and people that are eventually building these sets of certain products, they're going to want Matt Ryan, and I think his rookie card will hold value. But when you compare him even to the quarterbacks of his era, I think Big Ben, I think players like that are going to be remembered much more fondly. Even Andrew Luck, I think, is going to be mentioned and thought of much more fondly than Matt Ryan is. And I think a lot of it's that Super Bowl, and a lot of it was he was playing in an NFC South that was just absurd with Drew Brees and Cam Newton in his prime. He was playing in a tough division to begin with. He never really had that chance. And, he did have that chance. He got the Super Bowl. They blew it. But I just don't see him, I'm not a Falcon fan at all. So I'm not a Matt Ryan fan whatsoever, but I just don't see him as one of those guys that's going to be remembered fondly at all.
Yeah. In case y'all didn't know, that's pure hate coming from Drew.
Yes.
About,
oh, yeah. 100.
That's okay. Ask me about Troy Aikman. I'll tell you the same thing.
100.
There you go.
Awesome.
Right. Yeah, no, he's just going to be remembered as a guy. And he did have that gauntlet to run through, to have Drew Brees there all those years. That's going to be tough.
Yeah.
But we don't have to talk about that Super Bowl. But he's just going to be that guy that now, he's washed. To get just up and benched. I mean, he looks terrible. He's not
For
throwing the
Sam
ball down the
Ellinger
field.
too.
Yeah. This guy's like who's this guy? But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see where he lands, and it's just going to be backup duty from here on out.
This is akin to throwing PJ Washington out there against Tom Brady. Oh wait, that worked out good. Never mind. Sorry. What, Erica?
His cards are already coming off the secondary market at a higher rate, knowing that he's starting this week and moving forward. What Ellinger gives, what he gives the Colts, is obviously a much needed mobility behind that kind of so-so line that they thought was going to be stronger than what it's actually played out to be. So Ellinger, like, he may not be as strong in the pocket. He can definitely move the pocket or get outside of the pocket and get the ball downfield. I don't know if you guys remember him at Texas, but he has a decent arm. So it's not it's not a matter. Obviously, it's a matter of age at this time. Ryan just doesn't have it anymore, and Ellinger is the young guy coming up. But it's for the hobby. It's nice to see his cards moving. I'm also kind of interested to see, is it Zappy time too? Because those Bailey Zappy cards that were happening on eBay last night that were $40 in the middle of the game, 90% of that didn't get paid for, right? Like that's just
I sold two. I sold two Zappy autos yesterday. I listed them for just what I thought were absurd prices before the game started, just ridiculously stupid prices. And both of them sold in, I think, mid first quarter, and they were bought by people with well over 2,000 feedback, and both were paid immediately. They've already been shipped out to authentication. So those two were at least paid for. But the money that I got for him was nuts. I mean, it was just stupid. And that kind of follows up with DR's questions. What about Mac Jones? I mean, we've got the Zappy Mac Jones deal now. I mean, a lot of people have a lot of money invested in Mac Jones. Not a lot of people have a lot of money invested in Bailey Zappy yet.
The kid that he mentions, he made out with $100,000, right? So
yeah,
looking like a genius right now.
yeah.
Don't the moral of the story though is don't watch games in eBay. That's not a good. Don't do that.
Unless I got some of them up for sale, then you can go out.
Then you can just go.
I mean, feel free.
A year ago, maybe a year and a half ago, we saw this with the NBA and basketball cards, where all it took was half a game for somebody to have a big quarter or something like that, and immediately it was just like that. Now, obviously, again, the market has cooled down a lot, but when you're seeing Bailey Zappy go out and throw 2 touchdowns, and all of a sudden his base cards are $45. There's an issue there.
Well, hey, look at Bol. The NBA season just started. Bol had a great game. People have been dying for him to have a good game just because of his name, half of them. And he goes out and has a good game. Look at his cards right now. They're surpassing the bump that Jordan Poole got while he was dominating in the playoffs. It's absurd. Like, it's nuts.
He had 19 and 5 last night, and all of a sudden he's the
Here we go to the moon.
On an 0-3 team at that.
Right. Yeah. Now I will say Orlando's stacking a ton of big men. It's going to be interesting to see what that team looks like. But football wise and everything, Eric. So I mean, looking at the market and everything, we kind of touched on Brady for a bit, but who do you see as kind of like the quarterbacks right now, and what do you see with the Mac Jones and Bailey Zappy situation?
Well, for those of you who don't know who I am or what I do, I work at Beckett. I'm no longer a market analyst there, but I was for the first 8 years of my career, and so I follow the market fairly closely.
Yes.
So I'm not talking out of my butt when I do this. I just wanted to make that caveat. Right now, I don't really know that it's about the quarterbacks as much as it is around the other players. Now, obviously, you have Joe Burrow, who
right there with you
is probably at the top of that list. When he threw for 481 on Sunday, 3 touchdowns.
He was that dude.
Tua was there until a couple of weeks ago because he looked like he was that dude. And you got to go. Mac Jones and Jalen Hurts are 1 and 2. and then everybody else is you can just line up behind those guys. Is that fair? I mean, what do you guys think?
Yeah, I mean, if you haven't jumped on the Hertz train yet, you got a little bit of time. I mean, you because the thing is with the Eagles is that they're not going to play anybody for a while, and and they're going to they'll probably drop a game that they're not supposed to. But I mean, if you look at the schedule, it lines up for him to do some damage. He's got some weapons. He's improved over the offseason. He's definitely playing a lot better. So I mean, even if it's what you think is a high number, it's probably going to keep going up from there, just because of the way that the whole schedule's laid out.
What do you think, Eric? We haven't heard you speak yet.
Yeah.
Oh well, yeah. Well, I'm a Philly girl.
Okay.
So I really do like Hurts. I do have a couple cards of his, and it's just interesting how things have been playing out, because when I bought his cards, it was people didn't even want his cards. They were just like, and I was like, oh, you want that little four? And I was like, okay, like, he's a good player. Like, why not take a chance on him? Versus like a Mac Jones card was like so much more, you know what I mean? Like, I was just like, I'd rather get a few Hurts than the one Mac Jones. So that's what I did. And I was just kind of like, I was like, it's cool looking cards. I hold on to them. So, I'm not looking, I'm a PC girl, so I just like to hold on to stuff. But I think Hurts is still a little bit more time to buy some of his cards. They're still pretty, the train, you can jump on the train now. So that's my take on it,
Yeah. I agree with Hurts. I think he's awesome. I've always liked him. I never really understood why. I always give players 3 years before I, let them get used to the game, let them get an NFL body, let them get used to the rigors of the NFL and just the structure, because it's completely different than anything they've ever had. So I kind of give them the 3-year rule for basketball and football, those two sports.
Yeah.
And Hurts to me looks like someone that just keeps developing into someone awesome. But Eric, you kind of mentioned something a little bit, that's something that I've been talking about on my show a lot, and that I think is something that's very big in the hobby that's kind of going under the radar. But if you're someone that's out there looking for the next guy to get the next, and the next person and stuff like that, running backs, wide receivers, even some tight ends, even some defensive players starting to get a lot of love in the hobby. And I don't know if that's from quarterbacks being like Erica kind of mentioned, Mac Jones and people like that being priced out. Like a lot of people just being priced out of quarterbacks, like not unless it's a basic silver or a base card. A lot of people can't afford the Prism out of 149s that are going for thousands of dollars raw. That's just not attainable. And so you're seeing if Justin Jefferson, for example, or Jamar Chase, if they were out 4 years ago, like before the boom and before all that stuff, they would not be getting any attention whatsoever in this hobby. It would still be on every single one of the quarterbacks. But now you're seeing these guys get a ton of attention. Their shields, their big cards are selling for a lot of money. And so, I love where the football hobby in particular is going, because I think it's expanding. The rise of the quarterback prices is causing the market to expand to where a lot more players are collectible.
So I want to mention Justin Herbert, just because if we don't, but he's been up here for a while, probably pretty much since he's been a rookie. He's been up here, and everybody else was on a second tier for him. So we mentioned Burrow and Hurts. Don't want to leave out Herbert. And then I know that we want to talk about the other positions as well. But I want to stay in the NFC East and talk about Daniel Jones, who I mean, you look at the Giants, who has a big fan base and a big collector base, and Daniel Jones has been iffy. And I feel like you can buy up Daniel Jones cards right now at probably less than they should be, just because they're 5-1, 6-1, whatever they are. And they don't look great, but they look consistent. And for God's sake, if the Giants are consistent and the Eagles are undefeated and the Cowboys are right there in the mix, there's the NFC East, and all of a sudden you're looking at Big 12 football, and it's fun to watch. It's a fun division to collect.
Yeah. The Giants for me is a little bit of a smoke and mirrors type thing.
Think so?
A little bit. Just, I mean, they're very big, heavy on Saquon. Saquon's touching the ball a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The Giants receivers, when they're there, because half the time they're out or
That's
whatever.
true.
And Daniel Jones, I mean, he's doing his thing. He's running around, which is nice. But it just I'm a little concerned about the receivers and the other thing. You take out Saquon, I'm not sure that things look the way they do right now. But yeah, I mean, I'm an Eagles fan, but it's just not about that. It's just I'm looking, I'm like, the Dallas has a pretty good defense. The Eagles have a good defense. So when that starts to come down, I'm like, I think they're going to come back down to earth a little bit. Yeah, they beat Baltimore and stuff like that, so kudos to them. But it's just I'm still a little concerned. I think it's a lot of smoke and mirrors yet.
That's a fair statement. Drew, you mentioned defensive players, and specifically Micah Parsons is one that man, I feel like all of his cards are a steal, no matter what the price point is right now. And I know that he's a defensive player, and I know if you just go back and look at Brian Urlacher or maybe Sean Taylor. Sean Taylor might be the exception because of his death, but like if you just go back and look, there's a 1 to 2 year period where these defensive players carry a little bit of weight, but Parsons seems different. Am I wrong?
Mm-hmm. No, I think you're dead on. I was actually pricing a couple of his cards for one of our certified monster runs, and I was blown away because I hadn't priced his cards in ages because I hadn't had any, and we bought a lot that had a couple of cards in them, and I was looking at them, and I was blown away at his pricing, and I started to look into him more, and I mean, even this year's elite parallels. I mean, if they're at a 99, they're selling for $15 raw. I mean, like, and I think there's a lot of room for growth on those, as I think he's going to be that guy of the future. I think he's going to be one of those that's defensive player of the year a couple of years. I see him as in the conversation every single year. I think Micah Parsons is one of those defenders that can transcend for more than, like you said, some players will get 1 or 2 years of hype and then they kind of just level off and fade into obscurity. I think he's someone that can continue to have that hype throughout his entire career. 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Real quick, Paige and Dina Bean. I love it when she asks this, but she always asks for cards to be shown. So we're going to take a quick pause in Hobby Hotline overtime. If anyone has any cards on the desk that they want to show, I've got one right here. It's a World Cup time coming up. I've got my beautiful PSA 9 Kaboom Nicholas Pepe ready for the World Cup. So we've got the Kaboom up on the desk, and then if we've got another one today, I'm just going to shout out my boy Card Killer, who did this amazing custom Iverson out of his finest for me.
Nice.
That's nice. That's sweet.
Yeah, and it still has the finest back. It's a really cool. Nice. It says master instead of apprentice. So shout out Card Killer on that. So those will be my two for the day, Paige. Love when you ask, please.
Go ahead, Erica.
I got one. My AI and the glove East-West card.
Nice.
I just absolutely love the set, and
yeah,
and and they're affordable to obtain, outside of like the Kobe Michael Jordan one, but
yeah.
Yeah. And they're so AI and Gary Payton, you can't go wrong with both of them on a card like that.
No,
absolutely. No. I guess I'll go next. This is picked this up at the most recent national. It's a 101 game used patch of. I'm a Roberto Clemente collector, so
okay.
Yeah, so got that guy.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah.
That's nice.
Yeah, very nice.
That's
one
beautiful.
of my favorite cards in my collection.
What product is that?
It's National Treasures.
That's what I thought.
2014. Yeah. And they actually, so obviously it's unlicensed, but they did it. The picture is, it's just enough where you don't see the logo and it doesn't look too bad. So
yeah,
definitely picked that up. And then the other one is my favorite card in my collection, which took me forever to find, but it is the rookie card of his.
There you go.
Nice.
So
very nice.
Sweet.
So those are two of my favorite cards in my collection.
Nice.
So, can I show cards too?
Of course.
Yeah, of course.
So I'm gonna show
asking and shit.
You're here, brother. Let it rip.
Yeah.
This is from the wild card. I don't know how you guys feel about NIL cards, but this is from the wild card VIP exclusives from the National.
Awesome.
Mr. Hendon Hooker, 1 of 5.
Those are cool.
I love him right now. I don't know, guys, if you guys are paying attention to Tennessee or not, but they're good, and he looks to be great. And I'm going to do this. I'm going to give this one away just because I feel like it. Is that cool? Can I do a giveaway?
Yeah, dude. Be my guest.
Little Joe Montana autograph action from the industry stuff.
Nice.
There are.
Hold on, let me sign in with my burner real quick. Give me 5.
Yeah, can I get in on that?
There are 4 colors. There's a. You know what? Let me do this. I'll give one of each color away.
There you go. Yeah, while you get those together, Rusty Shackelford password.
I got one of each color. We'll give 4.
Nice.
That's sweet.
There you go.
You guys can figure out how you want to do that.
Okay. Well, I don't know. How do you want to do this?
Let's just give them to 4 random commenters. Can we do that?
Yeah, we'll do them to 4 random commenters throughout the day. At the end of the show, guys, I'll scroll through and I'll literally just click a comment, and whichever one comes up, that person will get it. Then the next one will get it, the next one, and the next one. I'm not going to look or anything. I'm going to look at the camera, scroll, and hit the button and see who it is.
There you go.
And we'll try and limit it to 1 per person so we can, the same persons. But definitely comment away. That's what we want you guys to do here. And feel free to call in as well. But heck yeah, Eric, that's awesome. But there you go, Paige. Thank you once again. I love when you ask to show cards because, I always have someone I want to show off. But but yeah, so that's a good transition right now, I guess, into something else that's going on in the hobby right now. And I know a couple people on this panel are going to be happy to talk about it, judging by the hat of Cousin Tony. I think he's going to be very happy. But the World Series is starting. An interesting World Series, to say the least. An interesting one for the hobby. It's been a fun playoffs. I think the playoffs elevated a lot of people in this hobby, even people that aren't in the World Series. I think a lot of players really took a big step forward in collectability, and their demand next year is going to be huge. But here we are down to the Phillies and the good old Astros. First off, what do you guys think of the World Series? What do you think of the matchup? And we'll kind of dive into it from there.
Go ahead, Eric.
You guys got 2 Philly fans here on
I know.
So I'm going to guess that there might be a little biased towards Philadelphia. It's hard to be an Astros fan, right? Because of everything that has went on the last 5, 6, 7 years. But I will tell you this from a hobby perspective. Mm-hmm. It was fun to watch how the Astros groom and bring up players in their own system, and they're immediately hot in the hobby. If you go back and look at Carlos Correa, Alex Bregman, you can go down the list really of the last 5, 6 years, and any hot rookie has some maybe has ties to the Astros. And if you look at Jeremy Pena, who hit that home run the other night, he did hit a home run, but then he had 2 guy. That's another player. He came up, he was major league ready, and if you're not collecting him, in which I understand if you wouldn't be, but it's just another name that's a stud, like you said, D, who's ready to play right now. I'm not saying I want the Astros to win the World Series, but for the hobby, you look at Philly, who has Hoskins and Harper and these guys that are household names in the hobby collecting because they've been there since Bowman Chrome or the Bowman Draft came out, right? Well, Pena's Pena's one of those guys that was in Bowman 2021 Bowman Draft or Bowman Chrome, and his cards are getting hot right now for good reason. So hobby wise, I'm a Stros fan.
Yeah, I kind of got to go with you on that, and someone you didn't even mention, Jordan.
Exactly.
Jordan is an absolute monster. I think he is going to be one of the top 5 players in the next 10 years, honestly. I think he has that type of potential. I doubt he stays on the Astros because baseball players seem to play on 20 teams nowadays. So I'm sure he'll start for another team here in a couple of years. But like you said, you get Hoskins, someone who I think has deserved credit for a long time now. Now he gets a chance to shine. You look at Jordan, Pena. I mean, that Astros lineup is filled with Kyle Tucker, someone who's having a great postseason, who was really slammed in the hobby and just thrown to the wayside, and he's proven instrumental to them getting here. Even some of the pitching, but on both sides, you've got great hobby stories. You've got the new guys on the Astros that weren't around during all the cheating stuff that, like you said, Eric, popped up and were major league ready and were ready to go and are making an impact. And then on the Philly side, you've got a lot of guys that went through that grind, went through some trades, Philly getting Harper being instrumental in them being there. I think it's set up for an amazing hobby side of the World Series, like you said. In terms of who wins, I kind of leave that up to my son and just cheer for if he's happy or not. But, I have no one in this race. I just think it's awesome, like you said, for the hobby.
I don't think you need to go to the other side of the room. We know how it's going to go. You guys go.
Yeah.
I know for me, I'm rooting for the Phillies, but I've noticed, at least locally in the area, more people becoming more interested who weren't interested in sports cards and like even baseball. They'd be like, I want to get some Phillies gear, and like they're more interested in maybe a Phillies card and stuff like that. So I know at least locally, was in the city, I've noticed more chatter, with newcomers, and because some reason it's something, I don't know, something here in Philly, people are super excited about this Phillies right now. So so it'd be interesting to see. I would love, I would love for, the companies and stuff to really be a little bit more interactive, especially at these big events. Be wonderful. Like I drove by the Phillies game, the last game, and they had a Ferris wheel outside. It was like you were at the shore, like they had it all set up in the other street. And I'm like, it'll just be really decent if they start really incorporating heavy, sports card memorabilia and different things like that for the fans of the game.
And another thing, and Tony, I want to know what you think about all this as well. But these are two massive hobby markets too, Philly and Houston. Those are two very big hobby markets, and in addition to the players that are in those markets.
Yeah, for sure. And with all those names, you guys, Altuve, you got him there too. So if he gets hot, look out. But that all being said, I'm sure you guys have seen Rocky IV. Yes, no. This is it right here, brother. You know what I mean? Astros are Drago, and we're coming to knock them out. So, I mean, at this point, we're playing with house money, and we always say, well, whatever we can do. But now we're here, so might as well win, right?
Mm-hmm.
But no, it's going to be interesting because you got Hoskins and guys like that who now they're going to get to shine on the main stage. So maybe, obviously Bryce Harper. That's if you're talking top shelf, you're gonna have to spend some loot. But if you want to get in on Hoskins, maybe Real Muto, guys like that, even Schwarber, I know he's bounced around a little bit, but if he gets hot, I mean, that guy, he hits bombs, man. So it's if you want to get in on that, but I think they're all gonna see a bump, and when the Phillies win the World Series, we'll all be all in the streets, right, Erica?
Not me, but everybody else.
Nah, I'm coming down to your house and dragging you out. We're gonna go walking all up and down the street, murmurs and all that stuff.
Yeah. I avoided the last parade, but all my friends were there though. But
gotcha. Yeah. I went to the last one, and it was interesting. It was fun, but we'll see about this time.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Drew, I think it's great that you brought up that both of these markets are big hobby markets. If you look, obviously you have the Philly show, which is a massive show.
Yeah.
And you have TriStar show, which is twice a year down in Houston. Great hobby connections to be had in both of those markets. And I see Chris Harris in the chat, man. Chris, when I was earlier this year, I was discussing with him, maybe moving out to the East Coast, and he was like, "Man, if you move to Delaware, there's a show in Philly almost every weekend, which is awesome to know." So, man, it's great to know that the hobby is in good hands in this World Series. You look at that might not have happened if it was, say, Seattle and LA's excuse me, LA's got a budding hobby market because of that Burbank show that they have now.
Yeah.
But
and I'll tell you, Long Island's Collecticon,
Uh-huh.
the TCG side of it, and they're adding sports next year for Collecticon, but this year the Long Beach show, my God, it was national level busy just in a smaller area. It was insane.
When is the next Houston show? After are they done for the year, or they got one coming up?
They're done for the year. They usually do them in February and then around Father's Day. So
because the next Philly show's in December. So I mean, if the Phillies win the World Series, those vendors are going to be doing freaking jumping jacks trying to sell their stuff. It's gonna go right from the World Series right into the next show. So I'm sure they're cheering them on.
I see Chris asking me a question. It's not off the table, sir. It's not completely off the table, Chris.
There you go.
Might make it happen.
Nice. Well, yeah, it's going to be a fun World Series, nonetheless, kicking off very, very soon. But a couple other topics I wanted to bring up with you guys today. I don't know if you guys saw recently the Jerry Rice Green PMG recently sold for $150,000, setting a record for the highest 90s football card sale ever. And what I found really interesting about the sale when it happened was this is the first known public sale of a Jerry Rice Green PMG. Now there's 15 in the set because they do it by percentage, and football is a little larger. So there's 15 and not 10 like basketball. Mm-hmm. But none of the other 14 have ever publicly been sold. So this being the very first time that this card had ever hit the market, and it goes for $150K. But it kind of made me think, and I was talking with Erica and Tony about this before, about like artificial rarity and true rarity, because there was a post earlier on in the week where they showed the same Patrick Mahomes rookie gold vinyl that had sold 4 times this year. All 4 times it had sold, it dropped a little bit in price, but it was like every single time someone bought it, 2 months later, it was right back on the auction block. And then you've got this card where there's 15 copies. It's been around 20 some years, and yet we've never seen a public sale on it. So which one's more rare? I mean, the Jerry Rice obviously being a much more rare card. And I just think it's an interesting case study on artificial rarity versus actual rarity. But did you guys see the sale, and what did you think of the sale for the PMG?
I did not see the sale, but it's definitely, like what we talked about, we were off air. Yeah, the Mahomes is out of 5, but if it's up for auction every other week, it's not that rare. Right. You're seeing it every week. Where the Rice, like you said, I mean, I've never even seen the card, let alone see the auctions and stuff. So it's definitely a lot more rare than the Mahomes. But let me ask, with the Mahomes, why do you think the game a hot potato? Why is it moving so quickly? Are guys like, do they feel they're getting a bargain and then they're just selling it at a loss? Like what's with that?
Well, I'll let Eric answer this also. I mean, I think personally it has quite a bit to do with the fact that I think people are being promised a lot more in auction houses. Like they're being told that they're going to be able to get this, and they're going to be able to get so and so amount of money for it, and they're just not able to. But in addition to that, I also think that it's just not one of those cards that people want to hold on to. And I think they always think the Mahomes market's just going to skyrocket. And or maybe it's people trying to just buy something, take a loss, and deal with the taxes when it comes to stuff like that and get reimbursed later. I'm not really sure, but I don't know why it just keeps moving. But it definitely hasn't found someone that wants to keep it. Maybe there's a flaw on it. There could be a flaw that every single owner sees. I'm not sure. What do you guys think?
Go ahead, Erica.
Well, all right. I'll start off with this. When I did see the sale, I smiled and I was like, "Oh, that's so cool." Because I love Jerry, number one, and I love PMG, especially the green. And I was just like, "Oh, about blinking time." Like, other than quarterbacks, like everybody else doesn't get the love that I think that they should, especially like Jerry Rice. So, I just hope that we see more sales and increase for the GOATs of football in particular. And as far as the hot potato thing. I agree with all your points. I just think that that's in the state and the hobby we're in. A lot of people who are purchasing the cart like that, they're looking to, hot potato around, for a profit, of course. But, it's hard. But the football QBs this season and watching what's going on is just, I'd rather go to the casino than to play that game.
Yeah.
I think all your points are right too. There's truth to each of those points you made, Drew, and it's it might be a case of my wife found out I spent this money, I need to get something back, or it might be a case of my husband found out I spent this money, I need to get something back. It could be it could be oh crap, tax season's coming up. What do I do?
Right.
It could be a little bit of everything. I think but you're talking about perceived rarity and actual rarity.
Mm-hmm.
And you guys have all talked about it. When a card hits the market so many times, it's gonna take a fall, right? It's gonna It's not a Honus Wagner, okay?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not ever gonna get what it was originally sold for. And as far as Jerry Rice, the Jerry Rice PMG, I did not see. Do you know the auction house that it sold in?
I'm trying to find it right now. Hopefully I'll have it here in just a moment.
Not to disparage any of our partners. Some of those auction houses are better at marketing than the others. And so, we saw this with the LeBron triple Logoman. I don't think that card should have sold for what it sold for, but it had a great marketing plan behind it. I don't know what the marketing plan was behind this Jerry Rice that sold for over $100K, but if you look at that set, if you look at the era and know what we all collectively know about inserts and parallels from that era and how incredibly hot they can be, it's not a surprise. I would also point you to the Jerry Rice rookie. That is like the last rookie from the 80s that hasn't really blown up. It's tough. That's a tough, great card to grade. So, that's the last one that hasn't really blown up and got really huge yet. And I think it's on the verge, just because of how popular a player he is. And with news like this with the PMG, I think it's right. It's not far behind.
No, and Foul Ball has a question right here. What's the big deal about PMGs? I'm a baseball collector. Good news for you. Well, maybe good news. There are some baseball PMGs in the new Metal Champions if you want to check them out. That actually look pretty cool. But PMGs were, when Metal came out for basketball, as I'm a diehard, Eric and anyone that knows my collection, I'm a diehard Kobe, Iverson, that era of basketball collector. When Metal came out, it changed the basketball hobby forever. Very similar to when 93, 94 Finest came out. When Metal came out around 96, 97, it also coincided with Kobe's rookie year, but it really took the hobby by storm. And the PMGs were some of the first, they were really the first numbered cards that mattered. And the way they number them is they're numbered out of either 100 or like 199, something like that. Only the first 15 or 10% of those cards are green. Then the rest of them are red. So the greens aren't numbered separate from the red. They're the 10 or the first 15, depending on football or basketball. And the sheer beauty of them, honestly, a lot of people have a nostalgia factor for the metal brand because, like I said, when metal came out, it flew off the shelves. Anyone that was collecting back then can I'm sure attest that metal was the set to go after when it first came out, way before we knew what Kobe was or anything like that. Metal was just what people were chasing, and the PMGs have held a very strong place in collectors that are my age, between 36 and 40 or something like that, and those are the people that are now buying a lot of these high-end cards. And these are kind of the cards that they've anointed as the inserts of the 90s.
You also, and Drew, all those are great points, but you also have to point to the condition sensitivity of the cards.
Yes.
With chipping and they were hard to keep gem, and if you do that, that's why you see even lower grades sell for big money, just because of how, one, rare those greens are, and then two, the condition sensitivity. So you might see a 7.5, 8 sell for hundreds of thousands of dollars. It's not an uncommon thing to see. And then also, I would point foul 5 ball to the modern Spider-Man Metal Universe or X-Men Metal Universe, and look at those PMGs. And now those have came down in recent weeks or recent months, really, but they're still highly, highly, highly sought after. And it's those first 10 that drive the collector's market. Everybody else just chases the red because that's what they can afford.
Oh, and speaking of, condition sensitivity, the Jerry Rice that sold for $150K, I can't find the auction house. It doesn't say here. It just says it was the first time it was ever sold publicly, any copy whatsoever. It graded a 6. So that right there, a 6 went for $150K. So that right there shows you the condition sensitivity. So a lot of factors went into it. Metal was a very unique and different set. They went to extraordinary lengths to create that set. The logo was, I always thought this was cool. The logo was actually made out of real metal, and it was about 10 foot wide by about 5 foot long, and they had to photograph it from the ceiling to get the angles and the lighting right. So there's actually like a massive piece of metal and steel of that metal logo somewhere in the world, which would be pretty cool if it came around one day. But that's what makes the PMGs kind of the go-to, at least in the basketball. And now it looks like the football hobby. I still think Star Rubies have a are massively underrated for football. But like Chris says, they were also some of the first low-numbered parallels. Collector's Dream asks right here, PMG Rice or 52 Topps Mantle? So what's everybody going with there?
Wow. The green rice or the red?
We're going to have to go with green right here. Now, the red's around 25,000 for around a 6 or a 7, I believe. I just saw.
Gotcha. This might be a bit of a hot take. I don't know, but just I remember talking about this when we went to the National, and it was like, that 52 Mantle for me was always like this pie in the sky crazy card that I never, wow. And you go, like, I went to the show, and man, I was like, man, these things are everywhere. I was like, you look, this guy has 3, the other guy has 4. I'm like, okay. So as far as if you're going to pick up a card that nobody has or you never see, it's the Rice. I mean, obviously the Mantle is going to be the one that kind of holds its value and goes up forever, but I might lean to the Jerry, man, just to be different.
I would lean with the Jerry. By the way, the red was a BGS 8.5 that sold for $25,800. And it sold last year for $10,000. So it's up 152.94% in the last year. So those PMGs are skyrocketing. I would probably take the Jerry just because, if it was a green, if it was a red, no way I'd go for the Mantle. Right. But being a football collector, growing up and loving Jerry Rice, just thinking he was just the man, the nostalgia factor, if I just got to pick one, knowing that I like either one's gonna have some great value no matter what. I'm going to go with the Rice because I have a feeling I can pick the Mantle up later on with whatever I want. If I get tired of the Rice, I can move the Rice and get the Mantle.
Yeah.
But I might not be able to move the Mantle to get a Rice.
You see cousin Oz's apples for apples take there. That's not even close. I think it's if you're going to compare a green Jordan to a green Rice, it's not.
No.
It's the Jordan all day long.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I think he means the green Jordan for the Mantle. I'm going to assume that's what he means. Hopefully he can clear that up because I mean if it's the Jordan versus Rice, but I'm going to assume he means the green Jordan and the Mantle.
Still you got to go with Jordan.
I'm still taking the Jordan.
Yeah.
Jordan
all day long. Erica, who are you taking?
I love Jerry Rice, so I'm skewing that way. I also love PMGs. I completed the 3-color for Skylar Diggins Smith, the green, blue, and red. So I when I look at the cards and I just absolutely smile. I just think they're just gorgeous cards. So and I agree with all 3 points that you guys said. So
yeah, and it's the like you said, Drew. It's the nostalgia factor too, man. I never saw Mickey Mantle play. I don't. He's just this dude I've heard about. But Jerry, for sure.
And John jumping in, being awesome, even while he's sick, doing some research for us. It was sold in PWCC's auction. And yes, absolutely incredibly generous of Eric on the Montanas. And speaking of those Montanas, I'm going to do the giveaway right now. We're going to do it as best we can here. So we're going to scroll. I'm going to blind scroll, stare at the camera, and so get some comments in if you want to. But we're going to scroll, and then we're going to click. First one is DR. So I'm going to write these down, and you guys can simply either DM myself or DM Hobby Hotline, and we'll get that information over to Eric. And unless you know Eric, of course, then you can just hit him up as well. All right, so next one, we'll blind scroll and touch. 3B collection.
All right.
All right, so we're going to scroll again, and that one didn't work, so hold on. Okay, well, maybe it'll work.
There it is.
Cousin Oz and the People's Mailman. Loving some Bobo. Now we're going to scroll down to the end, and we're going to scroll up for this last one. Up. And Mike Petty.
Mike didn't like my Astros take, so
I know, right? All right, well, never mind. Chris Harris. No, I'm just kidding. Mike Petty. Awesome. So, guys, please reach out to us on those. That was really, really awesome, Eric, to give those out. That's really, really cool. Greatly appreciated.
Good job.
On that.
Cool. Yes.
John says he's in Syracuse with him. So, John, who are you taking? Well, actually, I don't even have to ask John of Sports Card Nation. I know he's going with the Mantle over at PMG because he's collecting vintage. So, I have a feeling I know what John's answer is to the PMG question. But yes, thank you very much, Eric. It's greatly appreciated.
Thank you guys for letting me come on. I have not done, honestly. Well, Drew should know this, but you guys might not. I have not done a show since March, so being on with you guys tonight was great. Thank you for allowing me to crash your party and tell you how great the Astros are. I really appreciate that.
Let me write this down here. Eric Norton. All right. Got that right there. Bang, bang.
We appreciated you coming on.
Thank you very much. I feel bad because I felt like I kind of bogarted things, but you guys have been very generous, so thank you.
Absolutely. Thanks for joining.
No, yeah, absolutely. I mean, that is, guys, what this show is about. And just like, even though Eric called in, y'all still more than welcome. We can fit like 8, 10, 12 people in here. A lot of people can call in if they want. So please always know we put the link up all the time. Please feel free to call in. Just give your opinion if you have a question. Question, opinion, disagree with something we say. Let us know. Call in, join the show. The show is just as much about you as it is about us. You guys control the show as much as humanly possible. Without it, we wouldn't have a show here. That's the entire point. But before we go, Val has a question for us. 582 Montgomery Club thoughts. Now, I know what he's referring to, so I'll kind of set this up real quick. But the last 582 sets came out and of the year, which, by the way, Tops, you really screwed the pooch on the Montgomery Club this year, but that's another topic. The final Montgomery Club sets came out this year, and a couple of the sets are coming out unstamped. And a lot of people are starting to say that these were done on purpose as to be short prints. Tops, of course, hasn't announced anything whatsoever. But what do you guys think? Because me personally, I look at this as just the amount of screw-ups that are happening lately. They just forgot to stamp some stuff. A lot of people are trying to put these out as short prints and things like that. But let's just look at the last couple months. The wrong Max Muncy autographs on Max Muncy and Pro debut. We forgot cards to put in an entire set. They just happen to be 4 or 5 of the most valuable cards in the entire set. And whoops, we forgot. There's on-card autographs with the wrong player on them. Blaze Jordan autographs signed by other players on card. So when it comes to a stamp, I can easily see a stamp just not happening. I don't think this is anything like a surprise short print. I just think that this is Tops just quality control, not up to par. But what do you guys think?
I mean, given all of that, a stamp is the least of the
right?
words.
I mean, this isn't like 2 months,
easy.
Too. So
yeah, wow, and that kind of stinks, man, because you pay and it's it's almost like a blind box or whatever. You pay and they're just turning out whatever. I mean, maybe it's just people cleaning the house. They don't care anymore. The writing's on the wall. Maybe there's something to be said for that. But man, I feel that stinks, man, for the people who are involved in purchasing these things. It's not for me.
I don't. Erica, go ahead.
I agree with you guys. I just think that poor quality control is very disappointing, and the companies must do better.
Okay, Logan, what's up, man? Thanks for the shout out there, buddy. So this is difficult for me to answer because 1, I don't buy the product. 2, because of where I'm employed, I probably should walk the line here. And I'm not trying to stir anything, but like, if this, like, I'll agree with cousin Tony here. If the stamp is the least of the issues, nobody's perfect. And I think there's a lot of heat that goes around in the hobby for miscues or missteps. And apparently we're full of perfectionists. So,
oh no, I completely agree. I was just pointing out simple mistakes as to why I think this happened. And it has nothing to do with the actual Tops name. I mean, we know the companies. Eric, you and I know the companies. We don't have to mention their name. I've mentioned them a million times on here. There's 2 major printing companies. They're the ones doing this stuff. It's not the people at Tops and the people at Panini and stuff like that that are making these screw ups. And no one's perfect, like you said.
To your point, though, you mentioned the two big card manufacturers that are printing these cards.
Yeah.
Tops employees are not flying down to Texas.
No.
For every product pack out, No. Panini, and as much as we would all want them to, or we would all want Panini to go over to Allen and see the pack out, it's not happening with every product. It just isn't. And
why not?
Why not? It's not feasibly.
Yeah.
It's not feasibly possible. But but if you look at, I don't know their budgets. I don't know where they're flying.
Yeah.
But it's just not. To me, it doesn't seem feasibly possible. And I know I'm going to sound like the hobby insider here that works in the industry and is taking up for the big guy. And that's not really it. Drew knows me, and he's known me for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
So I think there are much bigger problems in this world than cards. And I just don't care as much as you probably think I should. And I'm sorry if that offends or hurts anybody's feelings. It's just the case. I would rather know how. I'm going to go back a few years when Stu passed away. I was concerned about Drew. I didn't care about his cards. I was concerned about Drew. So that's just where I'm at in life and where I'm at in the hobby. I'm sorry that they missed the stamp and people are upset about the money they spent. That's not on me. That's not you can take that up with somebody else. I want to know how you and your family are doing.
Yeah, no, fair. Absolutely. And shout out to Stu. Love you, brother. But yeah, no, I agree with you too. I think it's just it's just something that's going to happen, and I think there's way too much perfection expected in this hobby. I think there's a lot of people in this industry, especially online, maybe not as much in person, but online, that get into this hobby and expect it to be built and modeled exactly how they want it. Well, it's a hobby. It wasn't built for you. It was built for a community. So you might not like everything. Well, tough. I mean, then don't deal in that aspect of the hobby. But on that note, I guess it is about that time. So we are going to wrap up this week's episode of the show. Guys, of course, every Saturday at 11 a.m. Eastern, you can find us over on the Bench Clear Media site. Our Saturday shows are now over on the Bench Clear Media YouTube, so make sure to check that out. We've got an awesome lineup coming at you this Saturday, and every single Saturday show will be on there, and you'll be able to catch it on our YouTube a couple of days later. There goes the phone. And so make sure to check that out every single Saturday over on the Bench Clear site. You can find that on YouTube just by searching Bench Clear Media. But and then of course every Hobby Hotline Overtime every single Tuesday at 9 p.m. But Tony, Erica, welcome to the show. Glad we were able to finally get you guys on the air. Welcome to the Hobby Hotline family.
Appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
Oh, of course.
Yes, thank you so much.
Yes, absolutely. We're looking forward to having you guys on many, many more episodes. And of course, Eric, man, you can always call in, especially when I'm on. I always want to talk to you, brother.
Wait,
so
this was these guys' first show?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I'm so sorry.
No, it was perfect because right before you called in, I said I want them to have the full experience. I need someone to call in.
Yeah,
so
man, we needed that
a minute after I asked that.
For sure. We needed to show
I thought you were listening. I thought that's why you called in. Not that you were bored. I thought you heard me say give them the full experience and have someone call in.
I used my hobby ears and I heard you from the distance. And
I know. Hey, we've known each other for a long time. I wouldn't doubt it. But thank you guys so much for tuning in. Everybody, DR, Collector's Dream, Page, everyone, Sports Card Nation, everyone. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and we will see you guys on Saturday. Y'all have a good one. See y'all later.
Peace.
See you guys.
Peace.